Recapping 3 Thanksgiving football games right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Adam Azer here, solo tonight. It is actually about 12:40 a.m., so it's no longer Thanksgiving, but I hope everybody had a great day with family and friends, and hope you enjoyed the football games as well. Not exactly the most exciting day of football, but let's start. Let's give some thoughts on every game. Green Bay 29 and Detroit 22. Is Jordan Love, is this breakout for real? Is Christian Watson back to being somebody that we can trust? Unfortunately, they have the Chiefs next week, so I think things might be a little bit different. I think the Detroit Lions happen to be one of those teams that's just a great matchup for the passing game. I think that they stink against the pass, quite frankly, but you have to be encouraged by what we're seeing from Jordan Love. Matt LaFleur talked about it after the game. He's more comfortable in the offense now, and it's allowing them to be more aggressive. He's completing a lot of deep passes. Christian Watson, he now actually has 7 or more targets in 4 of his last 7 games. Just the last 2 times it happened, he did absolutely nothing with it. This was really encouraging. Again, I don't love him against the Chiefs next week, but I will love him against the Giants the week after that. So I think for Green Bay, you got to be very encouraged by what you're seeing offensively for them. I think the start percentage for Jordan Love, 27%, was way too low. A.J. Dillon, nice that he got the work. We knew this was a tough matchup. Next week, it's kind of easier run defense, but an interesting matchup against the Chiefs if Aaron Jones is still out. But the bottom line is trusting Jordan Love more. Christian Watson, matchup dependent. And remember, this is still a guy in Jordan Love that chooses a different receiver every week. Where was Romeo Doubs this week? So maybe it's Jaden Reed, maybe it's Romeo Doubs, maybe it's Watson who gets it done next week. On the other side of the ball, not really much to take away. I think it's kind of annoying, actually, that Jared Goff scored over 22 fantasy points. He did not play a very good game, but he gives you an okay game there for fantasy. And Montgomery still has a really good role, and it's a little frustrating for the Jahmyr Gibbs manager. Dallas 45, Washington 10. They just blow out every below-average team. It's unbelievable. They crush these teams. And it has to be taken into account. I didn't really love Sam Howell this week. He was okay. He scored 17.3 fantasy points. He threw for 300 yards. He rushed for a touchdown. And I thought Dallas would kind of control time of possession. It was the exact opposite. Washington had the ball for almost 37 minutes. I don't have a lot of major takeaways from this, except I'll say I don't care at all. I'm not moved by this Curtis Samuel performance. Okay, yeah, this is that random game with where Curtis Samuel goes off. We've bought into him before. Last year, we brought into him a little bit. I mean, to a degree. This year, I'm not falling for it again. So he's not going to be a waiver wire priority for me. McLaurin, I think, can get back on track against Miami. I'd like to see how Miami does against Garrett Wilson, because they could be a little bit scary with Ramsey and Howard healthy now. But I think McLaurin, at least you like the targets. And we saw it with Brian Robinson. If Antonio Gibson's playing, Brian Robinson, to me, is not a must-start running back. He got a lot of work today. That was great, but he did not come through, and he lost a big chunk of his passing game work. And for the Cowboys, is Tony Pollard back? This is now 3 straight games with an avoid tackle rate over 20%, which is really good. And that was a huge problem for him early in the season. He just wasn't making anybody miss. He looks a lot better right now. I don't know what it is, but I am more confident in Tony Pollard. He had the 6 catches, which is great. I still want to see 15-plus carries. It's not happening because he has a negative game script every single week. Seattle, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami. I think we have nice competitive games for the Cowboys coming up. I think we have a chance for Pollard to have a pretty nice finish. I don't love the Philadelphia matchup. I don't love the Detroit matchup, but I like his involvement right now. So you're probably going to start Tony Pollard most weeks. All right, the last game. Boy, as someone who has a lot of Brock Purdy, I was pretty mad about that last game. 31-13, San Francisco over Seattle. I don't think Purdy played poorly, but a Deebo Samuel rushing touchdown, 2 Christian McCaffrey rushing touchdowns. You did get the late one to Ayuk. And this is what we deal with here with the 49ers, right? They just have so many weapons that last week it was, what are we going to do about Deebo Samuel? Well, now George Kittle, after 3 straight games with more than 20 PPR fantasy points for the first time in his career, George Kittle is the one who's totally left out. And Ayuk was lucky to have a deep touchdown late. He had 2 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. So it was a Deebo day. Only 209 passing yards for Purdy. No takeaways, really. They're still great. You're starting your 49ers every week. For Seattle, I think Charbonnet, and it'll go back to A.J. Dillon, right? These were the 2 big names coming into the week, the 2 players to get off waivers if they were available, 2 difficult decisions for start-sit. I got to give Heath, Dave, and Jamie credit. I think they nailed it, basically. These guys were flex options, maybe low-end number 2s. They had about 10, 11 PPR fantasy points for both of them. I wouldn't say they played poorly. We just knew the opportunities We just knew that the matchups were tough, right? And for Charbonnet especially, going down so big, he still ended up with 14 carries rather. He had 4 catches, so that was good. And I think if Walker does not play next week at Dallas, I think Charbonnet, is probably a little bit better of a start. But still, it's just obviously a bad schedule every single week for the Seahawks running backs. And DK Metcalf was mostly shadowed by Charvarius Ward, and Ward played a great game against him. Ward was maybe the MVP of the game defensively. I mean, Bosa was really good as well, but that was a problem. Metcalf is a guy who struggles against good corners. He struggled in this game, but don't be discouraged because he's still dominating targets and could easily get back on track, even with the Cowboys coming up. All right, that's it for me. For those of you who are waiting in YouTube, I appreciate it. I was trying to get some other stuff done before I did the show. We were supposed to do it a while ago. But thank you for hanging out. I hope you all had an awesome Thanksgiving. This has been Fantasy Football Today in 5. The next time you hear this show, it will be Chris Towers. We'll talk to you then. See you later, everybody.